You are listening to Arts on the Air, a bi-weekly-ish interview show dedicated to Savannah, Georgia's artists, musicians, and authors. Each episode will feature a guest in conversation about their philosophy, practice, and current projects, as well as their thoughts on the state of the arts in our community. Our theme music is a clip by Jose Ray, made specifically for our show. Hello all, this is Kate Stanton Melendez, and this week I had the pleasure of sitting down with Flora Ranis. Flora is a multidisciplinary artist and storyteller from the Florida Everglades, whose work explores the molten, handmade qualities of our built environment. In a celebration of non-dualist ontologies, she explores the intimacy between traditionally natural forms and urban markers of state power. Through metalworking, stone carving, and painting, she reorients quotidian objects as conceptual artifacts and contemporary mythmakers. Flora received her BA from Yale University, where she pursued ethnic studies and learned how to weld. Flora Ranis is in Savannah through Art Southeast's On View Residency. She was here from April 8th through May 1st. If you're hearing this on the episode's release date, Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, tonight is the On View Residency Artist Talk with Flora at Art Southeast from 6 to 7 p.m. You can also meet Flora at the May 1st Friday Sulphur Street Fair, taking place on Friday, May 1st from 5 to 9 p.m. in conjunction with First Fridays in Starland. The Sulphur Street Fair is a semi-annual community event, an expanded First Friday celebration where the roads are closed off between Bull Street and DeSoto Ave, with live music, local vendors, live painters, and it'll be the culmination of Flora's residency in Savannah.
Yeah.
Well, so, Flora, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Flora. I am a sculptor. I'm from around the Everglades, but I work and teach in Providence, Rhode Island. And I'm here for a few weeks to create art and get to know people and be in Savannah.
How did you find out about Art Southeast? How did you end up here for the On View residency?
So, like a lot of things, I was on page 4 of Google, and I was just looking at opportunities and art-related things, and it came up. And at first, I was like, how have I never heard of this before? Like, I'm from Florida, and it didn't even, cross my mind or, my community. And I was looking more into it, and it's so wonderful, they're paying for your studio and your housing and just wanting you to make and be here and be present. And I applied on a whim, and now I'm here.
Yay! We're so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
And you're here through May 1st?
Yes, so I'll be here through the first Friday. So I'm really excited for that energy and the crowds, because I've heard people are going to be in the street and here and just have it be crazy busy.
That's one of the biggest ones of the year, so I'm so excited that as an outsider, you get to see one of the big street markets. Mm-hmm. They only do that twice a year, so the May 1st Friday on May 1st should be so much fun. I will be working, so I will see you.
Okay, perfect.
Now that's the culmination of your project?
Yeah, so that'll be the big show opening here, but I also have an artist talk in a little under a week, so next Wednesday at 6 o'clock here, if anyone wants to come hear about my work.
Yay.
They can also come to that.
Yeah, this episode will come out a couple hours before the artist talk, so I will put it up on all of the social media sites. But it's cutting it close, friend. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. They can run over. They'll hear and go, "Oh my gosh, where are we?"
Yeah, just jump out of the car exactly. For a second and run to you. As they should. Mm-hmm. Okay, so steel.
Mm-hmm.
How did you pick steel?
So I think steel picks you, right? You never pick it. But my senior year of college, I had taken a few painting classes, and I wasn't studying art at all. I was studying ethnicity, race, and migration. So taking classes about transnational protest movements and just race and ethnicity in this country and critical race theory. And I realized I wasn't learning tangible skills about how these systems were built. And I didn't actually understand the structures that we were talking about at all. And no one in my class knew how a prison was made, even though we're talking about abolishing it or deconstructing it, but how is it actually constructed and created? And so I saw that there was a welding class being offered, and I went up to the teacher, and I was like, you don't know who I am, you have no reason to believe me, but if you let me take your class, I will be your best student ever. I promise you, I will do everything to work so hard in this course, give it my all. And he was like, okay, maybe. And then from that point on, I've honestly been welding basically every day for over 2 years now. And so I took that class, fell in love with it, got addicted to the fumes. You're grinding the metal and it smells wonderful and you're just in there, and it's very cathartic to put on a shield and to start welding, and the entire world kind of goes quiet, and all you can see is the little light of the weld, and you're following it, and you're talking like millimeters of like movement across the sheet. And I found it really cool to look around the world and suddenly see welds I hadn't seen before, and to understand how everything I touched was kind of made.
That's so cool. And you work large scale sometimes too.
Sometimes, yeah. The largest one I've done so far is 10 feet, so it's the height of a U.S. military tank. And I did that because I was working for Vivian Beer, and she's an incredible large scale metal artist. And so I got access to her forklift and her ceilings, and she kind of talked me through what it would be like to make a large scale work. And so having that mentorship, that's what made it possible. And so, yeah, maybe there'll be more large scale things to come.
Ooh, where does the tank live somewhere now?
So right now it's Onan radius, and they're kind of at the height of this military weapon, and they're on view at Meredith Sculpture Walk. And then come June, they'll be at the Art Complex Museum in Duxbury, Massachusetts for a year. So if anyone's up north, they can go check it out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, is that your favorite project? Just because it's so big? What's...
Definitely not. I feel like sometimes the scale can be hard because if you're making something public, it's often a bit more didactic. You want people to come, and if they're just walking in a park with their dog or with their children, to get the message a little bit quicker than you would in a gallery space where someone can like sit with the work or have more experience like working with art and speaking about it. And so I feel like that one, it was a learning experience in public sculpture, in large scale work, but I think conceptually I'm just now finding my groove. And so I'm excited for like the practice that I'm trying to curate right now.
I'm sitting in a room full of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a podcast, so people can't see this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take some photos, and then they'll obviously come see you
Mm-hmm.
before you leave town. What you working on now?
So right now I'm looking at elements of our urban landscape, oftentimes the arrows that are just adorning road signs, and considering the spear as the first arrow and like the ancestors of infrastructure. And so of course steel has an ancestor in like the iron that comes from the earth's crust. And then what about the signals and symbols all around us? Like what are their ancestors? And so going back to the land, going back to soil, and creating these scaffoldings out of soil that are related to urban symbols. So we have lots of arrows right now that I'm covering in local soil that I'm digging up and glue. And I'm going to, I don't know if you know Jerome, a metal artist, but his studio today. So maybe I'll be able to incorporate some metalworking as well. So
Cute. Aww.
yeah, and he seems really nice. So I'm very excited for that. And always when a metalworker meets another metalworker, sparks fly, as they say. Yeah, exactly.
I actually don't know anything about metalworking at all, except for there's a uniform,
yes,
not unlike a beekeeper's outfit.
Yeah.
You want to teach me something about metalworking?
Sure, absolutely. Well, so one thing that I find interesting is when people are beginning, they're often quite afraid. So I teach adults and I also teach high schoolers, and so we have this like large range of fear that comes into the studio because people have never even touched steel before in this intimate way, and they don't want to do it wrong. I understand that because things look really scary. And even when I was beginning, like I was having panic attacks. Like it's terrifying to enter this new realm. And something that I teach everyone is it's actually impossible if the conditions are right to be electrocuted while welding, because you have a ground clamp and you're creating a circuit, and that's how the sparks fly. And electricity will always choose the path of least resistance. And when it comes to your body, the human skin versus metal, we have more resistance. That metal is an easier path to take. And so there's like this interesting language of autonomy and choice that electricity is choosing the metal. It's actually not going to choose us. And the only time that it will choose us, do you want to guess when? When this like current would go through our body instead of the metal on the table?
No, because all I'm seeing is flash dance with the girl in the rain and thinking like maybe if we're wet, but that's insane.
Wait, yes,
really?
Yes. Oh,
no.
well done.
Okay.
Well, so you know how like when we're growing up, if there's a big storm and the electrical wires fall and the poles fall, you're always told, do not go running through those puddles, right? Because bad things are going to happen. It's the same thing. Water is more conductive than the human body.
So it's attracted to the water, not us.
Yeah, and so it'll go through. Let's say your gloves are soaked in sweat. Okay, let's trade them in for some dry gloves. Like, that's the only time. But I find that relationship interesting. Like, we're teaching the students not only how to weld, but how to think about, like, electricity and currents and all these, like, surrounding ideas.
All right. How hot is this getting when we're do you know? Is that...
It can range between 3,000 and, like, 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. See, the electricity part is not the thing that I was immediately afraid of. I'd actually not even considered that component at all. I'm just thinking, like, sparks equal hot, run away.
So I do have a few scars, and when I was beginning, if you're using an angle grinder, the sparks go crazy. I don't know if you've seen images of it, but it's like this beautiful, like, fire. They're spreading everywhere, and they don't actually hurt because they go out immediately, right? Sparks aren't actually gonna, like, catch you on fire. They just, like, touch you for a second. But I remember when I was beginning, I was 21 years old, and I wasn't wearing long sleeves, and I thought, I'm so tough. I'm a woman in the shop. I'm gonna do everything in this manner. And I would have all these sparks hitting me, and then a few months later, I was like, oh, where are all these freckles from? I had, like, freckles all along my arm, just from these tiny little burn marks. So, word of warning, wear a long sleeve.
Unless you really want freckles.
Yeah, unless you, like, think it's a good look for yourself, a new fit. Yeah.
Cheap tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Or, like, on your face. Now people do fake freckles now on their cheeks.
Yeah.
They'll just, like, send the sparks right there.
No.
Okay, don't do that.
You need goggles.
Yes,
you need goggles.
always.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Well, so you don't only work in steel, though.
No, definitely not. I feel as though whatever project I'm working on, there is a material that makes the most sense for it. And so to call myself just a steel worker would be limiting and create these unnecessary confines. And so I love working with a million materials. I learned how to stonework right out of college, and I got an internship doing that. And that was so cool, just, going to a quarry, getting this marble, jumping in the quarry after work, like that kind of energy. And so just working with the land really is all we're doing. Steel is natural, marble is natural, soil is natural, and just how do these materials come together and speak to one another?
What's your favorite stonework project?
So that one is easy because there was this, like, large one that I did that was basically my first real project in stone, and it's essentially a 1-to-1 ratio of my body sitting crisscross applesauce, my elbows on my thighs, and a headless figure where the neck becomes this semi-plant-like shape and form. And just relating my body to the body of marble, which of course is made from the compressed exoskeletons of marine organisms over millions of years. And now I get to touch these skeletons and touch these bodies and carve into them as a body myself. That was, to me, very poetic and very meaningful. And even though that project did give me a little bit of carpal tunnel because the tools are crazy vibrational, they're vibrating incredibly fast and harshly. And so it definitely was, like, a testament to just sticking with something and working through it over the course of months and not being afraid of this, like, crazy tool and 3,000-pound block. So
that's huge. How big are we talking? 3,000 pounds.
Yeah, 3,000.
What's the dimensions on this guy?
I would say right now, I cut it down by half, so it's probably 1,500 pounds, and it's only 3 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet.
Oh, so that's smaller than I thought.
It is. Stone is heavy. It is incredibly heavy, but which is nice because it's not going to go anywhere, and no one's going to steal it from you because they can't even lift it.
Great. How did you find the stone?
So we were in West Rutland, Vermont, through a place called the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center, which I recommend anyone to check out. They have internships and residencies, and they pay you to learn stone carving, to take free classes, and to just be in Vermont for a summer. I mean, who doesn't want that? And so there was a quarry right next door that was not really running anymore, and they had a lot of stone from that quarry. And so I just got to go out into the garden and find a 3,000-pound block of stone, and for free, just get to work with it as also as a young artist, I can't afford 3,000 pounds of stone. So very, very grateful.
How did you pick it? Did it pick you? Did you just find something that was like beautiful, or like did you have something in mind?
So I definitely had my shape in mind. So I kind of knew the dimensions already. I took photos of my body and measured that. And then sometimes with marble, you have to look at the cracks. And so if there's one large one running through, when you start to chisel it away, the whole thing is going to just fall right open. So you have to be very careful and test things a little bit. But there was one that worked and made sense. And it was a little bit shorter than I thought. But that's kind of what inspired the head to come off and transition into this plant. So yeah, maybe it called me.
It fit all of the specifications. Oh, very cool. So where does that live now?
So no, that one's actually with its friend, the Bones, in Meredith Sculpture Walk. And I think it might be there for another year. If anyone is in Meredith, New Hampshire, they can go check that out. It's right on this beautiful lake. So you can go swimming on the lake and then go look at the sculpture. And after that, who knows? All these things are a little bit transient. So they have 1-year homes and then you find a new home for it. Or a forever home if anyone wants it. Shout out.
Still for sale?
Oh yeah. Right. Most things are.
Fair.
Yeah.
That would be the coolest garden sculpture.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you take commissions in like marble and or steel?
So sometimes I'm working with someone right now who has their thesis coming up, and so I'm almost project managing this outer structure that will go along with a weaving, and that feels really exciting. So I'm getting to learn about their work with fibers, and I can share my skills in steel. Most times for stone, I don't take commissions because I don't have stone facilities where I teach right now, and also it would be a lot of money. It is so much labor. We're talking like months of daily labor, but absolutely, yeah. You know, I think collaboration would be more important to me, like having our thoughts go together. I think I always want to work on something, and I need to work on something that I believe in and that feels exciting and kind of like subversive in a way. So if someone's like, hey, I have this idea, I love working with other artists. Yeah.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Very cool. I don't even know steel and marble. Like that's just the coolest and like kind of manly, to be honest. And you're like not what I expected, perhaps, when I look at your work. Mm-hmm. Again, podcast. I mean, you're a very small, cute young woman. Are you like your own in the field? Are you like totally by yourself? Do you see more women? Like,
I think there definitely are. There are so many women who I look up to, and I'm so grateful that I don't have to just trailblaze through this course and through this medium. Of course, they are male-dominated fields, and when you say you weld, there's this, what? You? What you talking about? But it's also why I really enjoy teaching is I feel as though I come at this material from a different perspective as a woman and as someone who really wants to see it beyond just the construction site. I think it can lead to this really exciting world building, and not just in a gallery, but just in someone's like personal life. Like even if you don't want to sell your art, even if you don't want to just make a single structure, just to get into the studio and weld, period, I think is really like revelatory and empowering. And so I often am teaching like all queer classes as well, where people will come and learn this new skill. And yeah, there's no sense of like being macho in the shop. Like I cut that out right away. There's no shame. If something is too heavy or too scary, we communicate with each other, right? There's no sense that you need to be stronger than the tools. I'm a firm believer that the tool is going to do the work for you. All you need to do is create a relationship with it and listen to it. And you can hear when an angle grinder is mad at you. You can hear when it's not working well. I think sometimes a lot of men in the industry will just fight past that and fight through it and kind of grunt it through and be like, hey, I'm going to cut this no matter what happens. And I don't think that's smart or appropriate. And so I try and bring this new perspective of listening and learning and responding to the material. But as I said, like Vivian Beer, an incredible woman, an incredible metal worker, like she's really creating great work and out of her shop. So yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I even hate to ask that question, like, do you work with girls? But like, my mom's an engineer, and it was so interesting to watch like a woman in engineering through the 80s and 90s where she was always by herself.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until very recently in the last, 10 years where there's other women around her. And, it's just so interesting that, we're finally the generation where maybe there's a little bit more evening out.
Definitely.
So, maybe I should have asked that off air. I was just curious.
No, I get it. And also, I think what's nice is when I put on the jacket, when I put on the mask, you do feel more androgynous. You are simply making this work that is going to speak for itself. When people see it, they're not going to know what your gender is most times. And so I think the work has to have power and it has to, if you want to be subversive, show it without having your photo right next to it. And when I did contract work, I was working with all men, but I also learned a lot from them. And I think there's a lot of really good guys in the industry who care about health and safety and comfort in the shop. And I have had the privilege of working with them and learning from them. So yeah, just trying to do the good work, fight the good fight.
Everybody's in this together.
Yeah.
Don't get electrified.
Do not. And now you know how to avoid it.
Don't get wet.
There's no excuse. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your background a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the first time you were called to the arts, or your first, maybe not childhood for you since you came into this a little bit later, but maybe as an adult, your first project?
Well, I do remember I was taking a class on the evolutionary biology of women's reproductive rights. I think that's word for word when it was called my first year. And we were on Zoom because it was COVID. And for the final project, you could create a long essay or a research project on something that you learned in the class. And I remember emailing the teacher and saying, can I make you a painting? I know this seems a little bit crazy, but I feel as though I will get my point across more clearly and more powerfully if I just create this visual work. And she was like, okay, I guess, why not? You're a first year, have fun in college, enjoy this thing. And so I was also at home, and so I got to spend a lot of time on it. And it was basically, I used my mom as a model, and I painted her essentially nude, but with elements of the female body on top, superimposed onto the skin. And so showing internal elements on the outside, the idea of what it means to objectify a woman when there's such beauty and power going on inside the body all the time. And I wrote a poem to go along with it. And I remember submitting it and the teacher literally being I might use this as a book cover. And this is better than not even comparing me to other students, but better than what an essay could often get across. And for my passion and my desire to create a painting to be reflected and appreciated, I was oh my gosh, maybe this is the way that I can speak about the world and speak about my body and speak about issues that matter to me, because it was an inherently political class thinking about women's rights. And so I think that was the first time I was okay, I'm in this progressive space and I can really use art in this way.
Do you still paint?
Oh, of course. Yes. I love painting. I enjoy watercolors especially. I remember just whenever I put in music and I need to calm down, that is the perfect meditation, especially because I can also hear my own thoughts. Sometimes when you're working with metal, everything is really grating and loud, and then to go to the complete opposite of that and just be in a silent space can feel really refreshing.
I'd forgotten all about the watercolors because you love everything that terrifies me.
You were afraid of watercolors.
I think that is a very common fear.
No,
because, no, that's too much for me. The layers and the no. You're gonna teach me something about watercolors?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, I do use watercolors as colored pencils. Essentially, I feel as though the most helpful part of watercoloring is that the brush can be as thin as literally a single strand of hair. And so I find it really helpful for detail work. And I'm often watercoloring almost dry, dabbing my brush onto paper towels until it's pigment almost roughly abrasively touching this paper. And I feel that's, in my mind, a really fun way to work with it, because I'm not often doing these large abstract strokes where it'll blend wherever it blends. I'm often maybe being a bit of a control freak with what is a really fluid and freeing medium. So I don't know if it's a fun fact, but I encourage people to
remove the water
from
remove
watercolors. Yeah, dry color. Try it out. See what happens.
Could not cross my mind.
So do you paint, though? Do you enjoy painting
No,
all?
I'm bad. I'm very bad. I was accepted to SCAD. They should not have let me in. I did not go.
Oh, okay. Wait, where did you go? What did you study?
I went to FSU. I've got a background in art history and then museum studies.
Amazing. Okay.
So I admire from afar and like to ask technical questions because I know nothing. They skip right over that, like the creation process. And I think artists are inherently kind of hermit-y, where y'all like to hang out in your own little bubbles, even when you're so cool and traveling and doing these residencies and going to new places. I think there's some secrets that everybody keeps to themselves, maybe not even knowing that they're doing it, right? Like if you've got this way to practice something, everybody else might not know. Yeah. And it's quiet, so I like to see what I can learn along the way during this.
Right, what are the secrets? What can you reveal? That makes sense.
It had not occurred to me to remove the water from watercolors, but, maybe I gotta try it, and I will reevaluate my hatred of watercolors.
Yeah!
Or fear, not hatred.
There we go, yeah.
Like, how long are you here total? You're only here for a couple weeks.
3 weeks.
See, that is so quick. And then there's like a week turnaround before and after, and then, this On View is such a great program. Literally being on view, though. What's the craziest thing you've seen sitting in this room staring at Bull Street?
Okay, well, yesterday, 2 guys were coming up and, walking by. And, of course, it's warmer weather, so everyone's taking their shirts off and, frolicking.
Wait, that's weird.
Listen, I'm not going to say it's not strange, but I'm also trying to just have thick skin in the world and understand that people want to live their lives. And one guy, so he taps on the window, and he's mouthing, draw me, draw me. And I'm like, you know what? I'll draw, a little smiley face as a joke. And so I draw it, and I'm like, okay, wait. And I pretend that I'm doing this perfect Van Gogh. And then I show it to him, and he laughs, and he's, in on the joke, and it's, super, super cute. And he walks away. And the other guy's like, draw me. And I'm like, okay. And then he looked a little bit more mad, so I drew him with a frown. And I showed it to him. And then I think he was like, no. And so he was, trying to show off his muscles and, show me his back. And, of course, I don't mind drawing a smiley face, but if you're a naked man just standing in front of the window asking me to draw you for a few minutes, I might get a little sussed out, so...
Yeah, the first round was cute. The second round is less cute.
Exactly. I was like, this is great. This is less great.
We just pushed it too far.
Exactly. It's a line. Why are we crossing it? But yeah.
Do you see tons of people? Do they come in off the street to check out what you're working on?
So a lot of people haven't come in off the street to look, but as they're walking by, I do appreciate how nice people are. Southern hospitality is a real thing that I'm now learning, because even being from Florida, you're not really from the South.
No, that's not. That doesn't count. I'm from Orlando. Doesn't count.
Yeah, it's not even close. And so at first when people would walk by, I would kind of avoid eye contact because I didn't want them to think I was looking at them and they're looking at me. And now I realize people want to wave. So when people come by, they smile, I wave, they wave back. And even that I find really cute and adorable and sweet. But hopefully, as I work on more things and build up more pieces, I'll show them off in the window, maybe even put a sign up that says, hey, come on in, or follow my Instagram, something like that.
I think you should. Yeah. You should take full advantage of these wonderful windows.
Absolutely.
What's have you learned anything from other artists in Savannah? Have you seen something that might change your practice moving forward in these very new first couple days?
Well, a friend took me to the hotel lobby that has the dinosaur
Plant Riverside. Okay.
And I thought it was incredible. One, as someone who's used copper in a printmaking process, to see it raw and attached to the rock formation and the mineral that it comes from is incredible. So they have I don't know if you remember this copper geode essentially, and part of it rough and part of it smoothed down. And so I have photos of that, and that felt really inspiring and very much what I want to convey with my work, this process of extraction and this manufacturing and processing of raw materials to what we now know as standardized, whether it be 2x4s or steel or copper, any of these materials. And also seeing the woolly mammoth tusks, I literally had to remind myself that these were living, breathing organisms because I had only ever seen them online or in books. And so to literally understand the scale and the beauty and the curvature of those tusks, I really want to play with that curve and create forms that are as fluid and semi-abstract. So Maybe it's a strange answer, but I loved that place and that felt cool.
Fun fact, that parent company was who owned the art gallery that I was a director for in Charleston.
Okay.
I've been at that location for work and like had to stay in it. There's no art gallery in there now that is affiliated. It's a jewelry store now.
Yes.
But before it was a jewelry store, it was an art gallery, and I'd have to come down and work out of there sometimes. So I'm very familiar with everything you're saying.
Yes. Do you have a favorite piece from the little hotel gallery?
No. Oh. Well, okay, the bear is pretty cool.
Yes, the bear is crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's just that you're not expecting to see these type things in that location.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially if no one warns you. It's very interesting. The dinosaur that's hanging from the ceiling did originally move.
Oh.
I'm very sad to see that not in existence, because the initial concept was that at a couple times per day it would like do a little wave.
Oh, yeah.
And so from the rooms that are upstairs, you can see these bones kind of float through space, and I thought that was very interesting and like unsettling maybe?
Yeah, totally.
It was very cool. I think the mechanics did not maybe work right, and it's never been fixed because this has been years.
Oh my goodness. I was looking up and thinking, oh, if only that tail moved a little bit. That would be awesome.
It was designed to move. I don't know that most people know that, but yes, it was supposed to do a dance for you a couple times a day.
Wow, well, thank you for teaching me. That's fun. It is, like, to not know what you're getting into and just to go, yeah, we're going to go into this hotel lobby. It's a shell shock. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Is that the coolest thing you've seen in Savannah? Or, like, have you made it out of this room much?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I went to Tide View the other night and stargazed on that swinging bench they have right off the boardwalk, and that was really lovely. And I'm excited to explore more. I feel like I've been getting to know people, going to even Mood Right and Lone Wolf. I mean, just these cute little places. And I went to an improv show, and there's karaoke next door sometimes, and open mic night. So all those little things at night I think are really exciting and community builders.
I love that. I'm glad that we didn't just stick you in a room and have you working 24/7. I'm glad you'll take away like a very well-rounded picture of Savannah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would refuse that. That sounds really depressing to just be here like, oh, get to know the city. I think that's really important. And I'm going to go to like the SCAD Museum in Telford. Like, I want to go see the art, of course. And I was just like Clio Gallery. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Of course. Yeah, Jeanette's lovely.
So sweet. Like, immediately going there and Jeanette and Victoria, her friend, like, kind of showing me around the city a little bit and giving me recs for places to go to. Like, good people, good art.
Did Victoria tell you to go to her restaurant?
So, I know that she works at the restaurant.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah?
So,
okay.
I did not realize she worked there, but my husband and I were at the bar of Fish Bar, and it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Go pop your head in. It is not inexpensive, but like...
That's the only reason why I was wary.
Just pick like one appetizer, like when they first open, pop down at the bar. It'll be a hard pick, but like...
Wow, okay. What do you recommend? What's the go-to?
No, that's hard. No.
Please.
No.
Okay.
Let Victoria pick.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I'll text them. Yeah. But if you have any recs... Because you are in the arts world, I feel like it's nice asking artists and curators where they would recommend someone going.
Have you done Cute Tomatoes yet?
No, but I'm going to, and I met the guy last night.
Phil, lovely. Yes.
Super sweet.
Big fan of cats.
Yes, I've seen the paintings.
And then next door is Sixby, so a nice little breakfast brunch spot, and then catch Phil.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's such a cute, fun arts community where everything's really tight-knit and little, but I think we just really like it here, and I hope you do too.
I also want to ask about these barbecue places because I found these, and I love like a ma and pa, or like a food truck. I feel like the food is always better. Okay, so the three I definitely want to go to, like Nairobi's Grits. Okay. In there.
That one's closing. I don't know if it's closed yet. It's been in town for like a million years, and they announced it after like 30 years they're retiring, I think.
That's so sad.
Yeah, so you might...
I'll call.
You might have missed that one.
Okay, Slow Fire Barbecue.
That one's delicious, and I think they're taking over the old Baby's General Store, which means nothing to you. But
that's funny though.
It's like a vintage gas station that's around the corner.
What?
And it was remodeled to be like a general store, and it had these really cool coffee slushies, but I guess it's moved to its next iteration, and so I believe Slow Fire Barbecue is parking their truck in that lot while they're doing the renovations to make that a more permanent spot. Check that one out.
That makes so much sense. Okay, and then I got Munchie's Barbecue and Randy's Barbecue. Have you been to those?
They both sound very familiar, and I do not want to lead you astray and give you a recommendation that may be false.
I appreciate the honesty. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know about the first one. I'll call them and go, hey, you guys here? Because I looked at other places that have also closed down. It seems like, it's hard after, like, community staples, it seems, are closing. It's just heartbreaking.
Savannah's a really, like, hit or miss. It's very interesting. People live here for a couple of years at a time and then, like, move on. And restaurants will live here for a couple of years at a time and then move on. Or, like, come back in some form or fashion later on. Oftentimes you see the same key players just like, all right, I'm done with this and moving on. And then they'll, like, reopen something several years down the line that's, like, comparable.
Yes. Okay, cool. So there's hope.
Maybe
they'll come back.
There's hope. Maybe we'll see them later.
Awesome. Nice.
All right, what can we, what do you want to talk about? What have I not asked that you have thought that I maybe would ask?
Oh, gosh, no, so now you can't ask me that. I just want to know what's on your mind. Let's see. Well, since you're from Florida, I do like to talk about the swamp and, like, what the swamp means, because I haven't really seen the marsh here.
Comparable.
But I really want to. And I heard, I believe, Ottawa.
Osaba, yeah.
Osaba has gators within or around the island, which is fascinating. And in my head, like, the only place with gators and crocodiles together is the Glades. And to consider this island around salt water that gets marshy enough and low salinity enough to have gators is really cool. But I feel like with art, there's a connection to swampland. Like, when we talk about borders, when we talk about, like, steel fencing or systems and infrastructure, because you going to school there and, like, being around this energy, the swamp can't be defined and it can't be traced on a map. Like, it's always shifting and changing. And I wonder if other people feel this way, but it's like really radical space, not only for ecologists, like ground zero when it comes to, like, fighting climate change and understanding, like, how to protect ecosystems and mangroves, but also I think for artists, we have a lot to learn from it, and as people who want to make the world a better place and reimagine it, to consider this location and this environment that is constantly being reimagined through decomposition and through creation. I wonder what you think about that.
That is way over my head. It's all beautiful and wow. I think I'm just too afraid of gators. Totally. So that, like, I can't reach any reasonable conclusions other than eek.
Hey, that's a valid reaction. I think it's probably the majority of people what they think when they see one. But even to think about a gator as, like, this prehistoric creature.
For sure.
And now to be walking among us to consider, like, the history of this land and the organisms in it and our own evolution from the water. So I just enjoy having that imagery and that language around me.
Go check out the brackish water surrounding Tybee. If you've already been through, if you can catch it, where you're watching, like, an alligator swim through the ocean, it's very cool. And I feel like we get a little bit more of that in Georgia than you do in Florida.
Wow.
Like, I mean, coming from Orlando, tons of gators, right? But, like, not maybe in our beaches.
No, certainly not.
It's just, you can see them, like, through the surf, and if you catch it just right, it's very pretty.
Wow. So are people not swimming off of Tybee because there are gators?
I mean, no, you swim, just you don't go through, like, the little, not mangroves, but, like, the fake mangrove areas, right?
Gotcha.
You just observe caution, and it happens very infrequently, but there are photographs of, like, a shark with an alligator next to, like, the pier area, watching them swim together.
That's amazing.
It's very, very cool.
Wow. Also, speaking of sharks, did you know that sharks predate trees?
I did know that. How cool is that?
Isn't that
also,
amazing?
How do you figure that out? Like, who sat down and was like, I bet this is older than a tree?
I mean, they must do. Is it called carbon dating?
Oh,
like
for
with
sure.
the fossils and not to give a real answer. I think this is exactly how they did it. I just love that fact.
No, see, in my head, it was somebody being like, this is cooler than a tree. Let's figure it out. No, your answer is way more reasonable. That's obviously how that happened. Apologies.
So maybe you're right. Maybe someone was in the room and going, I feel like this one's a little bit older. I just have a feeling.
It just feels too perfect.
Yes.
It feels too streamlined that, like...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like the great thing, like, if you're ever with a kid, it's like, hey, do you want to know something cool about the world? They're like, what?
That is a great fun fact, and I'm sure that it's something someone is going to learn.
Maybe I'll post that on the window.
Put like fun facts on your windows
Yeah.
with your like Instagram handle and your website.
Totally. Is it bad to put Instagram? I feel like people aren't that crazy here, right? Everyone seems pretty chill.
I mean, I think that would be reasonable. I think it would be nice to follow you after you're gone.
Oh, certainly.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also just to get views on your work, I think is such a wonderful thing as an artist. To know that people are consuming what you're making in any way and just having it sit in their minds and hearts, even just for a moment, is wonderful.
Well, and I love the digital space because people that meet you here might follow you for 10 years,
Absolutely.
and then you can run back. The world is smaller and smaller these days.
Yes. Well, I will say I met someone the other day who happened to go to school in Athens, Georgia, and someone that I work with also is from Athens. And so I said, hey, do you happen to know a wonderful ceramicist named Nyala? And he's like, oh yeah, we did study abroad together. And for my first or second day here, to already have that small connection, I mean, the art world and the world in general is teeny tiny.
It's just getting smaller and smaller. You don't know. I mean, if you put an Instagram handle on your window and somebody takes a photo or adds you, at a First Friday event or as you're working,
Absolutely.
they could come and be one of your big marble buyers
Right?
10 years from now.
100%.
Maybe they just don't have marble money today.
Yeah. And with this economy, maybe they'll have it tomorrow. We'll see.
Or, the next round of girls being...
Yes. Yeah, which is why I'm also excited to go and touch some metal today, because I feel as though I've met some people here who are like, oh my gosh, metal? I want to learn metal. And I almost want to bring them to these sites. Like if I had a welder here, I'd say, hey, come over, we'll do a community class. But if anyone is in Providence, follow my Instagram, follow me, let me know, and hopefully I can teach you some stuff.
Love that. Where do you go next? What happens after you leave Art Southeast? Do you go back home?
So home right now is Providence, Rhode Island, so I will go back there. I have some classes that I've designed that are coming up that I'll be teaching, and they range from like political sculpture making, which of course all sculpture inherently is, to like watercolors and welding, where we combine the two mediums and consider metalworking through a painterly lens, considering oxyacetylene torches as paintbrushes and like the welder as a pencil. And I just find it really cool and everyone gets a lot out of it.
Yeah, what does that even look like?
So we're kind of creating our own heat signatures, and so we're coloring steel with heat. And so
Cool.
If you heat up metal, it often has these really vibrant and beautiful blues and purples and oranges. And so the point is not to create a functional object. It's not to create a hinge or a coat hook or a coat rack at all, but to really consider the malleability and mutability of steel in a similar way to thinking about the fluidity of watercolors and that flowiness and that freedom. And so we're like stretching and we're bending metal and we're curving it and we're coiling it, and we're creating abstract sculptures and we're coloring them through heat and adding texture through welds and even through the markings of an angle grinder. So thinking of these tools as art makers.
Very cool.
But I will also, after that, be at Haystack Craft School for 2 weeks come July as a teaching assistant to Vivian Beer. So we're teaching a metalworking class, and that'll be my first time in Maine and at this craft school. So I'm really excited for that.
Ooh, and what a beautiful time of year.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to dip into both. Yeah, all the good things.
You're in all the good places in all the good times of years. What a life.
I mean, I am very grateful. I feel as though every day that I get to wake up and just think about art and be in community and have people in my life who are making art and trying to kind of remake the world and are just curious about the world, every day is a blessing, and I'm really happy to be here and to be meeting people and also to go back home at the end of 3 weeks and be with my community there. So yeah, I feel like when things are good, you gotta verbalize it, and very, very grateful.
You are just the cutest, and I hope that's not offensive. I just think you're just the sweetest. What
That's
a
nice.
Wonderful lady. What a... Much smarter than me. I am so happy to have sat down with you. I just loved looking at your work, and I thought it was so interesting because I have no ground for steelworking or watercolor, but the steel was very cool. And what a doll. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for speaking with me and being here, and I hope you don't mind the soil. I appreciate your enthusiasm for the mess.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Flora.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Flora for sitting down with me to talk about her work. Follow her on Instagram, listed in the show notes, to admire her from afar, or take one of her upcoming classes up north. I'll be taking a couple weeks off to travel and see family, but we'll have a few episodes released back-to-back in May. In between my upcoming travels, come see me and Flora. We'll both be at Arts Southeast Sulphur Street Fair on Friday, May 1st from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. She'll probably be being amazing in the front studio room full of dirt, and I'll probably be selling Impact magazines, drink tickets, and answering questions about ASC's programming. See you then!